Hi, intrepid viewers. I'm checking in. How are you? I hope you're all okay. It's a very difficult time, isn't it? Massively. So, look, our love and support goes wholeheartedly out to the Ukraine. So it makes you sort of think about the problems that we have in our lives, and maybe they're not so bad compared with carrying a baby with a toddler off in the snow, trying to find safety and sanctuary. So we've got to keep things in perspective and we've got to stay strong. So, things to look at today. First of all, an apology. When I go off about the Alvin Bragg thing, and I've been a bit careless and I've been calling it the SDNY investigation. No, wrong, Lena. No, that of course is being handled by Letitia James. No, what I've been referring to is the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. This is the reason I don't do outdoor things. All of a sudden, from a still day, the wind comes up. Maybe it's spirit coming to lend a hand, Okay, so I'll be talking about that and the person who has replaced the prosecutors who have left. I'll tack onto this, but of course we can't turn away from Ukraine at this moment. And so I've been thinking about the different angles that are happening. Australia has apparently sent lethal aid. I don't know what that is, but I'm not going to comment on that because I think they need as much lethal aid as they can get their hands on. But what I am concerned about is the Syrian soldiers that Putin is trying to lasso in. So I'll be looking at that. But in the meantime, there seems to be serious problems with the supply chains for the basics, gas, food, ammunition for the Russian convoys. So I'm just going to have a quick look at that because someone said yesterday to me, apparently various oligarchs, they all have their speciality. Deripaska's Mr. Aluminium and whatever. They all have their specialist interest of how to rip off the Soviet Union in their own way as best they can. So I want to look at the story that I heard, which was certain oligarchs were paid vast amounts of money to supply the Russian military. And surprise, surprise, a lot of that money evaporated. And now they're eating basically dog food that was labeled 2015. So I want to have a look at the supply chains for Russia. Are they serious? Are they a big problem for Putin? Or will he just go in somewhere else, in Georgia or somewhere, and just take vast amounts of food and send them to the front line? Like, will he get out of the supply chain problems is my question. So Putin's supply chain issues. Will he solve these issues? Well, we'll have to see. Let's have a look. Oh, he's talking up a big game. Oh, whoops. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Oh, whoops. Look, at the moment, I thought when this card first went down, this is Putin telling the Russian people, it's all going well. I've got the best news for you. This is a righteous war, and your soldiers, my soldiers, your sons, my sons are doing the best job possible. I thought that was the vibe. But I'm not entirely convinced that it's even Putin speaking here. I think this is the problem for tyrants. It's always a problem. After he's been in 22 years. Yeah. No one's telling him the truth. And I think this is people telling him they fixed the supply chain problems. But you know what? They haven't. Here's the tower. They so haven't. This is going to be a more disastrous issue than it looks, right? When the bombs are falling and things are happening, it obviously is appalling. But this issue has a lot of weight. This is the Nine of Cups, which is now going to be my oligarchs card, the smug merchants. Right. Here's the thing. Knight of Pentacles, two levels or interpretations of this. This can be the soldiers themselves, you know, one foot in front of the other, trying to do the right thing. But it can also, and always has been for the last 5 years, for political readings, it's been my card of the mercenary. And that brings me to my next read. So it's like, will the oligarchs who are experiencing their own tower, my vibe on this reading is everything has two layers. So it's an oligarch tower, but it's also a Putin tower because these guys have run off with the money. Why is the Queen of Cups the card of the mother yet again? Have I not said since day one? It's the mothers. Now, it's one thing to be lied to and told your child is not going to war at all. They're going off to, you know, just help people keep the roads open. Just do the right thing, to find they've been killed or maimed in a conflict. It's another to find that your beloved Sergey has been starved and has possibly had to surrender in order to eat. So these issues will be coming home to roost through the mothers. Not all mothers, not all at the same time, but the weight will gain momentum because women are so alert to these other issues that might be swept under the carpet by the official state propaganda machines. I think so. I think he has got genuine ongoing problems with the supply chain. Now, when you're a tyrant, you have a lot of power to go and get what you want. So I'm not saying he won't just go to other parts of his fictitious empire and get what he needs and get it there. But the problem for him keeps coming back to people are scared of saying, this is hard, or I can't do it, or it's not possible. It's always the way. That's what virtually brought America to its knees with the propaganda January 6th. It's people being afraid of these bully boys. Okay, so moving on, I want to know if there's going to be any pushback. I thought it was 12 GOP lawmakers who went to Russia. And then when I looked it up during the week, I could only find 8. But there might have been 4 others. But the point was, we were all shocked at the time. Remember, our mouths were open at the time, whether there would be any blowback for this. And I want to deal with this, and then I'll come back to the Syrians. So GOP lawmakers who went to Russia, as the sanctions come on board, as more organizations are looking at all the Russian connections, Russian oil, Russian everything, will this expose things? Okay. Those lawmakers went to Russia. You'll remember they all had their photo taken on the 4th of July. Nice. Good. Real Americans. Awesome. Any blowback for them? We'll see. Oh, the false knight. Biden, Justice, Queen of Wands. Ooh. Page of Swords. Wow. This might be Kamala Harris. I've had very little to do or to say or to think about Kamala Harris, I have to say, since she was on board. She's apparently playing a bigger role now with things, or she's been busy the whole time. I'm not suggesting for 1 minute she hasn't been busy. But I have a feeling this Queen of Wands might be Kamala Harris. I've got Biden here, Kamala Harris, and Justice in between. I think the false knight, this is, I think, the collective, those who went. Look, I'm going to say my vibe on them is I don't think they went thinking they were going to be tools of Putin or tools of, they thought, we're Americans, we can do what we like, and we can just do business with Russia and it's okay, I think they were naive. I think they were stupid. I think they were massively ill prepared for what Russia thought they were there for. They would have been so easy to play. So easy to play. They're children in terms of international geopolitics, In other words, I'm not saying they were going as villains. They were just sucked into the thing of, the Cold War was 40 years ago. I can make some money for my business. That's good. I really get that. So there might not be that much filth, but the Page of Swords here, this can be a card of revenge and jealousy and other things. Some not altogether wholesome emotions going on here. I think some of them might be realizing they were duped, that they were used in some way. That was great propaganda for Russia to say, here are all these American lawmakers coming to shake hands with us. Isn't this awesome? And they were there going, yeah. Right? And I think this is what Russia had in mind for them and how it was used. So maybe a couple of them are beginning to think wasn't the smartest move ever. And maybe there's a bit of a legal trail because I think they did accept gifts and a bit of help for your campaign. And the law always goes for the low-lying fruit first, So there could be something there. All right, now we've got the the most serious thing. I'm going to move to the Russian cards for this because word is Putin is engaging 16,000 troops from Syria. Now, at this stage, it's not even clear, are they Syrian troops or are they Russian troops who have been stationed in Syria and weren't thought to be needed for this, or whatever. Who are they? Why 16,000 seems a very specific number. If Putin has 190,000 soldiers already there, do you really need another 16,000? What is this about? What are the Syrian troops about? Oops, what fell out? Oh, the moon. Mysterious. Let's see, what's this about? Might do a 5-carder. I'll leave the moon in the middle because it's certainly not clear. Okay, what's happening with these Syrian troops? What's happening with these Syrian troops? Oh, really? It's Queen of Wands there. So done. All right. Like I said, bang in the middle, we have the moon. And in this case, it's a somewhat depressing, deserted street with the dog howling at the moon. So things are obscured. 5 of Pentacles, being short of money. Now, soldiers in Syria, I'm sure, are short of money and could be hired for not a lot of money, unfortunately. I think this is a given. we've got the Two of Wands. This is plotting and planning. I think this, I'm hearing Assad. I think this is him, meaning Russian officers, not so much Putin. Putin might have made the phone call to Assad and go, my people will talk to your people. But after that, I think it's others convincing Assad this is a good idea, that he owes Putin, because Putin came in. So I think there is, dare I say, the quid pro quo phrase. Assad couldn't say no, I think, and might not even have wanted to. He wanted to support Putin. The Queen of Wands, this is a balancing act. I don't know how troops who have been fighting in Syria for 3 years or 5 years or however long the Russians have been there, I think Putin and the military guys are looking for battle-hardened troops. What's become obvious is he hasn't got a huge army of battle-hardened troops. He's got a front phalanx of battle-hardened troops, followed by a vast number of 19-year-old boys that are missing their PlayStation and their McDonald's that has been closed down in Moscow. So this is a balancing act. He needs tough troops. Now, this is the sun in this peculiar deck, which is the 12 chairs deck. I think this is persuading. I think persuading someone. Is it persuading myself? I don't know that it's literally a female here. I don't think it's so much that. It's having to persuade the public that everything's fine. This war isn't a war, and even if it was, it's going really well. Right? I think that's this story, you know, the sun, sunny days, not talking real talk, not talking dead and mutilated young men, not talking grieving mothers on the side of the road at the borders, you know, the sun in that context. And this is a very special card in this deck called the Black card. This deck, the whole thing is about people seeking the money and the jewels wherever they can find them and ripping everything apart in the quest for power and money. It's particularly apt, isn't it? He'll stop at nothing. So I don't think this is going to be over in 6 or 8 weeks or something. He'll stop at nothing, you know. So who can stop Putin? Now, there are options, as I'm sure you're all well aware of, too. You know, oligarchs apparently have a bounty. There'd be military that are loyal to the Russian state and those who perhaps aren't. There are the Navalny supporters. There's all sorts. His health could cave in or not. So I genuinely don't think he's going to survive this as an overall experience, but I wouldn't be so bold as to put a time frame on it at this stage. He won't survive it, but the big question I keep coming back to is who's going to follow Putin? And I'm not saying it is going to be this guy I'm going to talk about now, but he'd have to be a candidate. His name is Sergey Shoigu. Now, why are we going to talk about Sergey Shoigu? Apparently, because this question has been bugging me since the very beginning, even before, you know, they started moving in on Ukraine. Who is second in command to Putin, really, in real life? And so I did a bit of investigative digging, thanks to investigative journalists. And it seems the name that keeps coming up is Sergey Shoigu. Now, he's an interesting character. Why is he important? Firstly, he has been the only one who's been allowed close to Putin for the last 19 years. Putin's been in for 22, right? He would have got in with a cohort. After 2 or 3 years, the paranoia set in. His only playmate, Sergey Shoigu. So I thought, who is this guy? Well, he's the Ministry of Defense. And I thought, oh, of course, And then I was astonished to find out he has no military background. He's just got the uniform and the titles and the things, but he doesn't have a military background. So he was made Minister of Defense by Putin. What does this tell you? It tells you he didn't trust the military at the top level, so he put in his man. Now, why him and only him? I think I have an answer with my anthropology hat. Sergey is of the Tovu people, T-O-V-U, and traditionally they were nomads of Siberia, closely related to the Mongols. Okay, so let's just do a little micro bit of history. Russia itself wasn't very big. And then they annexed Siberia, which is huge. So suddenly Russia went from this to this, thanks to Siberia. Siberia gave them the reach all the way to Asia Minor and into what is now taken over by the Soviet Union when it was actively taking over countries like Turkmenistan, like Chechnya, it was Siberia that allowed that reach. But Sergey is actually, his name, apparently, if you're Russian, this would make sense. It's spelled S-H-O-I-G-U, says he's from this region. And Putin thought he will never displace me because the Russian people will never put in a Tovu person as president of Russia. Because Putin is a white supremacist at heart too, Isn't that interesting? So one of the reasons he kept this one man close, his maximum loyal, because he thought he'll never be able to have a coup and topple me and put himself in, because the Russian people wouldn't put in someone who was from an indigenous tribe, even if that was 200 years ago. Doesn't history reveal a lot about the present? Right? So I'm going to do a quick look here. The previously completely unknown Sergey Shoigu. I'm sure I'm pronouncing it really badly. If there are Russian or Ukrainian speakers or any Tovu speakers out there, please correct me. Okay. What's his story? Is he still loyal to Putin? Can he be persuaded? What's his story? What's his story? Here we go. Oh, things are racing along. Oh, Okay. Look, this is a guy who's no stranger to the long game. I'll say that. Now, the first card, the signifier, 8 of Wands. In the regular deck, it's that one with all the wands going the same way, everything happening all at once. Boom, right? Look at those horses galloping. Things are happening. And yet the very next card is time and patience. You see what I mean? Even though there's all these huge things, if you're the only person Putin's talking to, you'd be very busy, right? Because he would have to take messages to everyone else in every other department. It'd be exhausting spending a life like this. A day for Sergey would be totally exhausting because he's running from pillar to post. The situation's changing by the hour and the news isn't good, generally speaking. But this is someone of infinite patience who understands also that time is ticking and time is running out for this military fantasy. Why do I say that? 2 reasons. This is a man who can make his own decisions. He's a man of the mountains to a certain way, like, even though I'm sure he's been lavished with money and gifts and stuff as the Minister for Defence and all of that, and rubbing shoulders with the oligarchs for the last 20 or 30 years, and huge. But you know what? He's a man of the mountains, the end of the day. And he is prepared to wait this out. And that's the other reason I'm saying he's waiting. I don't think this is so much Sergey as Putin. This is the hangman in the traditional decks. This is it in the Russian deck. I think it speaks volumes, doesn't it? And then Sergey's outcome, the 10 of Cups. In other words, he gets to feast at the table. Now, that could be a lot of scenarios at this point, right? And things are changing, and it's so much energy swirling around this. I'm not going to tack it on to the end of a reading today. I'll do another one on that. But he's feasting at the table. So is that because someone else has got rid of Putin, or he's got rid of Putin? Or is he going to turn out to be a total bastard of the First Order that's going to be a repressive monster in the mold of Putin? Or maybe something else? Dare to hope, dare to dream. Who knows? But remember that name, because I think the fact we haven't heard it, everyone's been looking, Russia, 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 Russia. I have not heard his name. And yet he's the only one Putin talks to. So that tells me he's really good at going under the radar, like really good. Okay, my beloved and intrepid ones. Now, I will have a quick look at what's her face, Susan Hoffinger, the one who's replaced Cy Vance. You know, we're back now in Manhattan District Attorney's playground in New York. So let's have a look at her. Most people have sort of written her off. She hasn't had much experience, well, with anything really. But let's have a look how she's doing. Is there any hope that she can do something as big as this case? Was she chosen because she's useless, or was she chosen because she's okay and won't be an embarrassment? I don't know anything about her. So if you have any feedback, let me know. Susan, this is Manhattan DA and Susan Hoffinger. Susan Hoffinger. Oh, that's interesting. She didn't want this job. I thought maybe she put her hand up to sort of make herself famous when they were looking for someone. No. All right. So starting with the 9 of Wands, it's always a card of feeling defensive. I think she knows she was chosen as a bit of a bunny. I don't mean a Playboy bunny. That might be an Australian expression. If you're, I can only think of other Australian expressions. If you're the mug punter, or you're the one left to carry the can. I can only come up with 30 Australian expressions. I'm trying to think of the American version. But feeling she was set up, right? Basically set up to fail. That's her job, is to fail. Right? That's what she was simple. And she didn't want that offer, right? So she was made the offer, but she wasn't totally stupid, because she realized they wanted her to just pretend. And there's part of her that's a bit of a lady. Now, this is the Page of Cups, which is, don't brush me quite so easily. Here's a surprise. And I'm just going to put a fish in your cup and see how you handle that, Alvin Bragg. There's a bit of feistiness, a bit of something here. We have the Ace of Pentacles. Could go two ways. I always worry when I see the Ace of Pentacles with these strange political situations, because it sure as hell can be fool's gold. Often it is when you're dealing with, Trump org and other things. However, she might be prepared. She's got nothing to lose, put it that way. She's got nothing to lose. I think she's going to give it a shot, and she's moving on with the case. At least that's something. I expected more swords, more disasters, more failure type cards. But look, at this point, it's not totally over Red Rover. And I wonder, they would have had huge teams there, not just the two big guns who resigned. They'd have teams. They would have dozens and dozens of lawyers. If she was smart, and I don't think she's totally not smart, she would have had serious talks with all the teams. She would know what the grand jury has seen, not seen, where they're up to, what to do next. To a certain extent, it depends what stage this case is at. I'm not going to write her off, put it that way. I'm not going to write off Susan. She's my new best friend. Got to hope for something. All right, my beloveds, so please comment away. I love your comments. So it is my absolute privilege. Oh, your Sunday night in America, so 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Sunday night. I think it's Becca's channel, which is Becca, House of Lenormand. Lenormand is one word. I'll be on with Jen Lynn and Johnny from Tarot's Apprentice, and there'll be the four of us, possibly someone else, and we always shriek and fall about and have a really, really good time, and it's really therapeutic. So I invite you to that. Take care. Really take care. Stay strong. Bye now. Bye.